Welcome, runners. My name is Coach Steve. This is Coach Ben. And we are here live at the NYRR Run Center to talk all to you guys about training, your training needs, what's going on in your life. Let us know where you're watching from. It's great to be here with you, Coach Ben.
It is the best. It is a beautiful day. Can't believe we're 10 days out from this special little event in Brooklyn we have. But until we get there, man, it's a beautiful day. Great. I love the intro. For all of you out there who've seen Good Morning Vietnam, I thought I was like Adrian Cronauer, like Robin Williams over here. You know,
my new intro to every week
morning.
now.
There we go. I love. We're gonna do that. No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. It is a beautiful day. It definitely is spring out there, isn't it? It feels good.
I know. I wore a sweater today, which questioning my decisions, but I'll manage through this chat. So as Ben said, we are 10 days out from the RBC Brooklyn Half. For those of you running, let us know how you are feeling. Are you tapering? How was your long runs? It is. We had a meeting, a staff meeting about an hour ago about the race. It is the largest half in North America, which is exciting for those who are running the race. Largest half in North America.
30,000 people coming this year.
30,000 runners out there going to be participating in it. So we're looking forward to a fun day. We're keeping track of all the weather conditions and safety monitoring, so you guys are good to go. Join us at the pre-party the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That is where you'll pick up your race bib. Do not come here. Do not come to the Run Center and pick up your bib because they will say, go to Brooklyn. But I can't wait for that race. We also just wrapped up the Newport 5K in Jersey. I did not make the race, but I hear it was a great time out there.
It was always a fantastic day. The weather was great. Again, a lot of runners out there. I heard people always, it's a flat 5K. I mean, it's not, New York Great Runners likes to have challenging courses and races out there. That's always when you go out there and get your time. There was a kids event as well. Saw the picture, saw everybody online. It was a beautiful day out there on the shore. You're looking back into Manhattan, enjoying some time in New Jersey, getting your fastest 5K. Maybe you moved up a corral. Maybe if you did, drop it in the chat. Let us know how your race went because, everyone's working hard out there. You're training. But I know we got some topics to get through.
And if you did run the Jersey 5K, maybe you decided to move to Jersey, which I would love. Move up a corral and move to Jersey.
Maybe
just
people did that. I don't know.
Just saying. It's a great place to live, guys. Sometimes it's quicker to get to the city than other places. Anyways, Coach Ben, we have great 2 segments coming up for you guys.
Yes.
And as we said earlier, if you submit any questions throughout the show, whether we're talking about it or not, put that in the chat because I want to answer those questions.
Yes.
I'm excited to hear from you guys. But we're going to talk about 10 potential contributing factors to injuries.
Yeah.
We're also going to talk about which I forgot about, how to build a running plan.
Right.
I got to keep it on mind. How to build a running plan. A lot of people come to us, which is great about running plans, but we're going to talk the secrets that we have, Coach Ben,
Ooh, the secrets.
about creating a great training plan for whatever race you have coming up. But I definitely first talk about potential common running injuries. There's 10 of them. There's probably more, but I broke it down in 10 segments.
It's probably 100.
I know. But you want to take number 1 about training load? Yeah,
training load's always key. People think they have to, they strap on their shoes. The first day they got to run 10 miles. They got to run X miles to get out there. You do too much too soon. It's a common theme that we hear from runners out there. Take it easy. You're just getting started. Your body will adapt as you go. So dropping too many miles too often, too soon. Actually, I was talking with somebody just a while ago, and they were like, when I started running, I wanted to do a mile a day every day for 30 days. So they built a habit, but they were safe in what they were doing. It wasn't 10 miles a day every day for 30 days. So don't build up too much too soon. Keep it easy on yourself. Your body will adapt as you go because injuries, let's be honest here, Steve, they suck.
Not fun.
They are not fun. And when you can't run, you get cranky. I don't know about you. I get cranky. So take it easy out there because, again, you want to gain experience, right, Steve?
That's right. Number 2, running experience. So if you are a new runner versus
just say an old runner. Just say
is it old runner?
Just say it, I'm an old runner.
New runner, experienced runner, you're going to experience injuries differently. I find a lot of newer runners get more injuries more often. Various reasons. You're probably doing too much too fast too soon. Your body and your muscles and your bones are also not built up to the strength of those workouts. You can see stress fracture. You see stress fracture, and you also see shin splints in new runners more than older. Shin splints are very common. That load on the shins day in, day out are very common. So early on, a way to avoid those, watch your miles, pull it back, recover more often, focus on those cover runs, less miles early on. Just form those habits we talked about always. Form those habits of running instead of focusing on more mileage. Because all the time in the world to add more mileage, but the new injuries do pop up with new runners especially.
And as you gain that experience, your body's going to adapt. So you use those adaptations to your advantage. And that brings us to our another topic, using the adaptations. How is your training going? How is your body reacting to what you're doing? This thing that we have, our body, it's an incredible machine. It does such great things. Well, it can be kind of vexing too when you don't want to get up in the morning, your knee hurts, you don't know why. But again, as you look at how you're doing, watch the buildup. How are your races going? How are you adapting to increased load, more mileage, just the overall stress of life? So keep tabs on yourself as you're going through there because your body does talk to you. It's up to us if we want to listen, right, Steve?
I listen really well.
You listen really
I try
well?
to have good
You must
ears.
take notes on that.
Yeah. Number 4, we're going to talk about subjective measures of well-being. So this is kind of just how are you feeling overall? You know, it's subjective. So we're not going to really have a barometer for this. It's more how you feeling internally. How's your well-being? How's your stress? How's your overall feeling? Stressors in life, from work, from family. It's also going to be, are you time on the weekends to relax? Are you always busy? So those factors will always increase your potential injuries if your well-being is not healthy overall. So make sure your stress is under control, your work balance is under control, you have time on the weekends for those runs, and you have time to recover from all that activity you're doing. If everything in your life, those external factors outside of running are stressful and time consuming, you're not going to have a successful running time because you're not going to have time to dedicate to that recovery.
Exactly. And that's just it. It's the psychological stresses, the stresses of outside. I mean, a lot of people I know, we run to do what? To blow off steam, to feel good, to take care of ourselves, to let that stress go. But so often, sometimes those outside stresses we have do impact how we actually do when we're out there training. It will seep in. Your mind does wander. I think actually, Let Your Mind Wander or Let Your Mind Run was a book by Dina Castor. I think it was what the call for.
I'm going to say you're right.
You're right. I mean, my mind is wandering.
Someone look it up.
Someone out there a lot of there,
wrong.
but it's one of these like let your mind run. And so using those stress factors when you're out there is how is that going to play into what you do? And that is the overall stress that you do feel because, again, we do this for fun. We do this for enjoyment. We want to be out here. We get to run today. As I said earlier, being injured is not fun. It takes you away the joy of getting out there. So listen to yourself. Look at what's going on in your world. Maybe some days the best thing to do is just get up and go for a walk. You know, we have a coach says if you do something for 10 minutes, you're already ahead of the game. So take care of yourself. Get out there. Kind of just recenter yourself. As sometimes those psychological stresses you have, the outside influences will play into it. And then sometimes you're just plain tired, Steve.
Number 6, as Ben alluded to, fatigue. So this is not so much a sleep thing, but it's how you are feeling overall. Are you always tired throughout the day? You always feel like that cup of coffee is not doing the thing it should be doing to you?
That's why
you can tell I had a lot of coffee today.
Exactly.
Love it. So I'm not fatigued. I'm really well. Good. But it's kind of how you're feeling, because if you're always fatigued, if you're always tired, you're not getting that recovery that you need. That recovery can come in many different forms, not only sleep, which we'll get to, but you need to make sure your body is awake, alert, because that'll help your overall injury prevention in the long run.
Exactly. Yeah, because again, you want to have those things. And then also, what goes in comes out. So taking care of our bodies in the best way. When we look at what we're eating every day, when do we eat? How often are we eating? You know, everyone out there, I mean, whether you have your vices or things that you enjoy doing, I mean, I like to have a good beer. I think Coach Steve is also a connoisseur of the nice beer from time to time. It's a good one.
Goose Island IPA.
There we go. There you go, folks. A hot tip out there and what you're going for. So again, always take note of what you're putting into your body, whether it be food, if you smoke or you're not a smoker, or if you're a past smoker, alcohol, wine, you know, beer, vodka, whatever your drink of choice is. Those things will impact your output when you're going, and it will impact also how you feel. So always bear in mind that what goes in does come out, and sometimes it's a good post-recovery treat to yourself. But if you have a day off afterward, you know, it's all good. But always take care of yourself and never say no. Just do it in moderation, folks.
The next one I think should be in the number 1 and number 10. I put it in the middle for some reason. Number 8, sleep. This is where the magic happens. Sleep is number 1 recovery for all runners and all injury prevention for runners. Those who don't sleep are getting lack of sleep. There's no magic number out there, so I'm not going to say get 8 hours. Talk to a professional at this of what you should be getting. But make sure you're getting an adequate sleep. When you sleep, that is where the muscles recover. Sleep can be naps too, so I think those are important for those running high mileage. It could be a 10, 15-minute, I call them disco naps. Maybe it's a term I know. I don't know. I grew up calling disco. Some call cat naps. Napping throughout the day, and those restful nights are very valuable in getting rid of any aches and pains and staying injury-free, Coach Ben.
I mean, as a parent of young kids, sleep, do you get much?
I do.
No?
Well, my kids are not babies anymore, so it's helpful. So
getting a little older, a little easier?
When you're 3, or now they're 4 and 6, it does help the sleep. New parents, it's tricky, though. I was doing marathon training with a newborn, and it's a challenge.
It is tough. I mean, I'm a parent of a teenager, so I'm on the opposite side. I get up and go for a run and come back, and they're still asleep.
Still sleeping, yeah.
They're still asleep, so hey.
That's how I want about.
Everyone's out there doing their own thing. Last but not least, shoes. Everything, or not last but not least, just the last. He's got the least, I got the last. Shoes, folks. Shoes keep the tires going. This is what keeps us on the road, so taking care of those feet. Steve mentioned earlier, stress, shin splints, big factor. Plantar fasciitis, knee injuries. Getting fitted properly for shoes is key, and then understanding when your shoes begin to die out or begin to take the wear and tear on them. Think of Miles out there. typically, anywhere between 300 to 500 miles is about when you're going to get a pair of shoes. If you're a heavy sweater, I get maybe a little bit less in the summertime because they do act like a sponge and they will break down. But it's crazy how when you put a new pair of shoes on, how great do they feel?
How do those shoes feel right now, Coach Ben? Those are new, right?
These are brand new shoes. These are the
shoes?
860s, I believe, or
Those are
860s. These are quite nice. You can take one off if you want. I mean, look at that. Folks. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, they're new still. They have that new car smell.
Recommend taking it off, but here we are, guys, live.
Taking it off, folks. There you go. Yeah, I mean, always get those shoes on. Take care of yourself because at the end of the day, you want to be running. You don't want to be injured, folks.
The last of our tips, kind of summarize them all up because it is about just recovery. That is the name of the game. To avoid re-injury and to get over an injury, it's recovery. It's a broad term because it covers all 9 things in this. It could be your sleep is recovery. It could be what you're taking in your body, as Coach said. That is recovery. It could be things like your stressors. Those are recovery. So if we are not recovering, we will get injured. Say it again. If we do not recover, we will get injured.
I'm going to put that on a T-shirt.
I know, right? That's just the slogan. If we don't recover in the back, we will get injured. So you need to recover no matter how many miles you want to run, no matter what your goal time is. Olympic athletes will recover for many months. They have what's called the Kenyan Shuffle. They'll do a 10-minute per mile run out there. It's opposed to, now we're going to fast today because it's every day it shouldn't be a fast day. You got to recover on those runs. You got to recover at home. You got to recover in the gym, whatever you're doing. So keep that up. And should we go to some questions?
I think we're ready for questions and shout-outs, folks.
Let's go to some questions.
All right. Well, first off, we have a shout-out from Edgar from East Harlem, New York City, and he hopes you have a wonderful day today to the both of you.
Thanks, Edgar.
All right. And then our first question is from Ed. He asks, what's the best way to plan for a 3-month gap between half marathons to prevent overtraining?
Sleep, recovery. Oh, wait.
Basically, yeah. So a 3-month gap between half marathons? Was that what it was?
Oh, whoa.
Fly in my face here. 3-month gap. So it's going to take you 2 weeks to recover from your first half marathon. So let's just say you run May 1st is your half marathon. Make them dates here. It's going to take you 2 weeks to recover from that half marathon. So that does not mean you don't need to run. You cannot run that time. But we don't want speed workouts. We don't want long runs. So nothing really over an hour of what I consider long runs. So prevent those 2 things. You can run. Ideally, you'd also be cross-training in this time. That's going to limit any injuries. Then you're also recovering. As I said before, all those 10 things that me and Ben said, you're doing all of those within your life to recover. That's step number 1 goal. You still then have 2.5 months, 2 months to train for the second half, Coach Ben, right? So you can still get the new training in. So you're just not starting off from zero. You're starting off from where you were. You didn't lose fitness in those 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever you need. You didn't lose fitness. You're still starting at a very high point in your training. So start there, find a coach, a training program, and you'll actually be more successful in the second half marathon. So it sets you up for success within 3 months. It's a great timeline.
It's crazy how much runners don't realize it, but you actually make gains in your recovery.
Oh,
so
yeah.
as you said, taking that time off, you're actually you may feel, I'm going to get slower, I'm going to get slower. It's really the opposite of that. Take care of yourself, enjoy it. I remember talking with Meb a while ago, and he says after a marathon, he takes time off until he falls back in love with running. It's a great way to approach it. You don't have to rush back into it, like you said, Steve. Enjoy it, get back out there, get comfortable on your couch, all the shows you missed, get back to streaming for a little while, and just take care of yourself, and we'll be back on the road soon enough.
I just watched that show, Jury Duty, on Amazon. It was amazing, by the way.
Good?
If you haven't
Okay.
watched it.
There you
So
go,
good,
folks.
Jury. I watched it.
All right. Next question. Do you have any pace strategies?
Yes. It's going to be more than that. Yes. So this is really going to depend on what your goals are and what the train on the course is. Ben and I actually been doing some course strategies for the RBC Brooklyn Half, and there's a lot of questions about pacing that race. Pacing the RBC Brooklyn Half is going to be different pace strategy than pacing the Newport 5K, as Ben said. Then different from pacing the TCS New York City Marathon, different from pacing Big Sur Marathon out in California. Those are all different strategies. I think there is one overall theme to them is you really want to go negative split or positive split negative split or even splits depending on the course terrain. So by negative split, I mean you're going to start off slower and gradually speed up over the duration of the course. And an even split is you're going to try to keep the same 9-minute pace, about the same the whole way from start to finish. So those are the ideal splits. If a course has a hill at the end, the huge hill at mile 24 of the marathon, look at it maybe a little different, but I don't know what course of distance you're doing. If you're watching right now, put in the chat, maybe some more information. But ideally, once again, your first few miles should be the easiest miles. Those are warm-ups. If it's a long distance race, like a half or full. If it's a 5 mile or under 5 milers, think of it as that first mile is important. So warm up beforehand because you don't have much time to make up if it's shorter than 5 miles.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you just paced the TCS London marathon a couple weeks ago, and that's a flat course. So
Pancake flat.
So your strategy into that was to try to get on pace pretty early because there's
Every
nothing.
split.
So every split you're
yeah.
hitting a pretty strong forward. Like you said, look at the course. I think it's a great way to look at it because, again, you're in London. It's like, there's no undulation here. I got one pace, one speed, go for it, as opposed to look at the profile and then kind of adjust from there.
RBC Brooklyn Half would be a little different than London because you have those 1.5 big hills before mile 6, and then it's just flat. So I think a lot of pacers will be doing similar. We'll be kind of going out even efforts with a little bit of negative split on that course just because you have the last downhill finish. Cool. So let's jump into our next segment. Before that, if you're just tuning in now, my name is Coach Steve. This is Coach Ben. We are going to go over some training stuff for you. If you have questions about a race coming up, maybe it is the RBC Brooklyn Half or recovering from the Newport 5K, put that in the chat. We love to chat with you. Let's talk about how to build a running plan. What do we do for a living? This is what? This is.
I don't know.
You don't know?
I coach.
Coach.
According to my job, I
create
coach.
some training plans.
I've done one or two in my time.
So there's different ways to look at training plans. We're going to kind of take a general view of this. So if you're looking to maybe start training for the TCS New York City Marathon or Bronx 10 Mile or any race you have coming up, there's things you can look at in your training plan. So the first thing is I want you to assess your present condition. Now this is what are you doing right now, because I want you to start your training at where you are now. That's step one. Is you want your training to start where you are now, not where you want to be or where you were a year ago. You might have been a lot faster, a lot slower a year ago.
Yeah.
Definitely. But we're starting now. So I know that now in my life, I can run 10 miles for my long run at a 9-minute pace. That is going to be my long run for the week, and I'm not going to all of a sudden jump up to 15 miles or at a faster pace. Start where you are now. That's where the plan is going to form, and we're going to set those long runs and the weekday runs because I'm running 4 days a week. I'm not going to do 6 to 7 days a week right now. I'm going to maybe build up to that. We'll see how long the training plan is, but start off where you are now at your present condition.
That's always key. And then also, and when you into the plan, what do you want from the plan? What are your aspirations? What are your goals from the plan? Usually, you have a plan. You have a goal race or a goal time. Maybe you have a get back into fitness training. Maybe you're training for a specific distance of race, 5K or 10K. You may focus more on speed work, or if you're doing a longer run, a half marathon or a marathon plan, it may focus more on your aerobic or the distance. So make sure that your plan is geared for what you want. And also, as Steve said, from where you are and where you want to build to, because if the plan is not where you want to go or what you want it to be, then it's tough to follow because you may question or may not understand. You may get fatigued, you may get tired, or may not feel like you're progressing to where you want to. And I think it goes back to earlier, that's sometimes where the injuries get come into play because you're doing too much too soon or not following or not listening to your body. So really look at what the plan means. And don't be afraid to ask questions if you're working with a coach out there to give information and feedback on what that is so it does align with your aspirations.
Number 3, quantify the demands of your current life. So I want you to look at what else is going on.
I came to that in a normal day.
When you're creating your plan, you need to assess what else goes on in your life and how and when you can fit your training in. What we see a lot of times with athletes coming to us is they have very busy schedules, which makes sense. Their work is busy, their life is busy, their family is busy. When do they plan to fit running in, especially those weekend long runs, or maybe a long run can be on a weekday, depending on your schedule. When is it going to fit in? How is it going to fit in with your current family structure? You need to plan those out. And a lot of times we tell runners, you're going to schedule your runs just like a meeting in your calendar for the day, or just like a family adventure. You're going to put on the calendar and say, hey, husband, wife, kids, work from 6 to 7 in the morning or in the evening is my run. I am busy from that time, or maybe it's a lunchtime run. If you don't schedule those in like a calendar invite, like a Teams calendar invite, it is not going to happen. So make sure you schedule those and look at that ahead of time. And assessment, okay, I want to run 5 days a week, but does my current life schedule allow for that? And look honestly at it. And maybe start off with 2 days a week. And then as you build, you kind of find some balance and everything, you can add another day. I'd rather start off with less and add more than remove it over time.
Yeah, and that's key. And then last but not least, when you look at the plan, what is specific about the plan, adding specific styles of runs into it to get you ready for what you're trying to go for. Like Steve talked about earlier on the pace question we have, you look at your pace strategy out there. If your race is going to be flat, maybe you want to have more work that's going to be on a flat. So maybe you won't be do too many hill workouts. Maybe it's going to be more flat-based for tempo runs. So make sure that your plan is focused on what your goals are and what you're trying to get at, because that's going to be key so that when you show up on race day, you feel prepared for what you want to do. Because if the course you're going to be on has no hills and you did a bunch of hill training, that may not help, or vice versa. If you never did a hill, and also you have to run a hill in your race, that may be more challenging. So make sure that your race reflects what your goals are and also maybe what the race training is going to be. That way you feel is most prepared and most successful. And hopefully those 4 tips will help build you a great plan. But I think we have some more questions and shout outs coming our way. So what do we got?
Do we have any more?
Any more questions and shout outs? It's been a quiet day today. No one likes us.
Quiet day. Everyone's out enjoying the nice weather in Central Park. Let's go to our Bell Lap. Cool. So today we're going to talk about stretching, Coach Ben. Static and dynamic. Why don't you take the first part of the run, which is dynamic. What is dynamic stretching and how does it affect runners?
Dynamic stretching is something you do before, and that's when you're doing a stretch with a movement. You're not just like standing in place and like bending over the old days of like touch your toes and lean to the left. You're more of a dynamic stretch. So you're doing like scoops where you walk a few steps, you would scoop down. Or if you're doing walks, your movement with the stretching. You're not just standing still, because when you have yet to run and get the blood flowing and get your muscles going through, the muscles are what we call cold. There's no blood flow. So adding too much stress of those may cause an injury, may cause a tear. So when you do a dynamic stretch, you're going to increase the blood flow, which then in turn helps kind of stretch the muscle out to get you ready for your workout.
Then when your muscles are warmed up,
yes,
you then do that static stretching, which we're all done in gym class and PE. We've done before. We've seen the parks. You see athletes doing afterwards. It's when you hold that muscle for about 10 seconds. So one would be, arm stretch. You hold it back a little bit. You can do the calf, you can do quads, hip stretches, but you're really sitting there holding it. If you have any sore muscles, tightness, after the run is when you want to do that. So focus on areas that maybe you have issues with. So if you notice your gait a little off, or you notice some tightness on one side of your body, oh, my calf is having some issues, I'm going to do a static stretch on that calf stretch for about 10 seconds. Always do both sides, even if you're feeling something on the left side. Stretch the right side. What you do one side of the body, you do to the other, so you're nice, equally aligned. But focus on what is bugging you. Also focus on things that are not bugging you, because that will prevent them from coming back. So hopefully that does help. Thank you so much for joining us today, Coach Ben. It's a pleasure as always.
Thank you, Coach Steve.
We will see you next week, guys. If you're running the RBC Brooklyn Half Marathon, please come say hi to us at the Running Lab. Pick up your bib. We'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but have a great race. We'll see you later.
Have a good one.
Bye.